All right, nation. This is the horrible thing ever that we have to go through is the unknown. Basically, we don't know whether or not the season will be here. We can say it will be, but the reality of it, it could be just like the baseball. I'm seeing that they are canceling a few of the games. And also, we did hear news of John Vay Johnson. He's on the restricted list due to the fact that he contracted the COVID. My thing is, I think it's like 2 to 3 weeks that he got to be on that list until he can clear waivers or clear the actual testing from there. So he'll have to isolate himself. Now here's the thing. We understand the way and the nature of the flow of football, right? A lot of people are angry. A lot of people are upset about this storyline here. The Dak Prescott. Everybody got to talk about it. And I'm so tired of talking about it, but we got to talk about it type of situation. We thought that it would be over with, but we got to go back and forth with it. My thing is, you cannot put toothpaste back in the tube. Let me repeat, you cannot put toothpaste back in the tube, regardless of how you look at it. And this is what happened. When you allow the media to control the narrative, all Jerry had to do is come out and say, hey, this is my guy. Here's the money up front. And all of this stuff could be over with. But now we got to hear this thing for the entire year. Oh, he's mad about the coaching staff, or he's mad about the front office, or he really I'm talking about Dak Prescott. He really wanted Jason Garrett to be still here. The anonymous coach, all of this anonymous stuff. Why be anonymous? Why don't you go out there and say, okay, Dak Prescott, from what I'm thinking, feels this way. But when it's anonymous, it leaves so much room for ambiguity that this is what's going to go on. Just be prepared. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, if they're still in NFL, for us to continue to talk about Dak Prescott, Rain Dakota Prescott. And as much as I love the young lad, we love his skill set. We love what he's able to do on and off the field. It's not like he's a horrible quarterback and he was sitting there saying, okay, this and that happened. We understand. And I do know that everybody like to look at it only on one side of the table and say, well, he was 8-8 last year, Law. He can't beat a playoff team. He's only 1-7 against a playoff, available team or above 500 team. His record and the historics shows that he's not that great. Well, I want to challenge a lot of people. How many great quarterbacks won the Super Bowl by themselves? Let me know. Post that down below. It's not nothing to do about that. It's more so to do about the collective thoughts of this team. And I'm going to say this until I'm blue in the face, Cowboy blue in the face. If Stephen Jones had their reservations on Dak Prescott, all they had to do is not franchise him, not franchise tag him. Why? Let him test the market, see what you're going to get out of returns as it relates to the other organization on what they place Dak Prescott value at. Why drag this thing throughout the world, right? And for those who saying, well, he should have took this or he should have taken that. Well, my thing is, like I said, you cannot put toothpaste back in the tube. If the Cowboys really wanted to covet him and protect him in a sense, they would have approached him way before his contract was over with. But unfortunately, we're going to still talk about Dak Prescott from here to the moon and back, basically. And it's such a distraction. It's such a crazy situation for us to go back and forth. You guys know how this thing goes. And the only cure to all of this stuff, the only cure is winning. But the expectations, and I love high expectations, but the only expectations that's so crazy is that now this kid, they put on him Super Bowl or bust. He got to go to the Super Bowl. He got to pull out a Joe Flacco. Oh, Joe Flacco betted on himself. Of course you can bet on yourself when you got Ray Lewis out there and Ed Reed. I will bet on myself. You got a crazy defense. And then people fail to realize Ray Rice was running that ball. He was running that ball. So they had teams and they've had pieces around them. And I don't want to hear people say, well, we got us a version of a Ray Lewis. We got us a version of an Ed Reed. We got us a defense just like that. No. Defense don't even come close to that Ravens defense. Shout out to our defense, though. There is a chance and opportunity for us to change that outcome this year. But it's going to take time. It's going to take continuity. A lot of times people look at something and say, okay, just because you got all of the pieces in order, in place, that it's supposed to happen just like that. It takes continuity. And above all, it takes great coaching. Understanding, too. It takes those type of things to elevate an actual team. Case in point, the news out there now is that, like, this guy, Russell Wilson, right? And so he's the second best quarterback in the NFL. They immediately gave that right to Pat Mahomes, right? And they said, okay, based on what Pat Mahomes did last year, he's the best quarterback we will ever see, right? So he's automatically number one. And I'm not throwing no shade at Pat Mahomes. But people got to look at it from both angles. Just like they said, the only reason why Ezekiel Elliott is great or good or what have you because of the offensive line. And keep in mind, for everybody who want to have that argument, the same offensive line was here in 2015. Just to let you guys know we won 4 games, right? But just like they said, well, Dak Prescott benefited as well from that offensive line and Ezekiel Elliott. Well, truth be told, Pat Mahomes is good. But let's not get it twisted that Tyreek Hill is not a teenage mutant ninja turtle out there. He's like a ninja out there. The boy's quick. He's fast. He's good. And I think that he propelled them to do a lot of good things. Not saying, and I'm definitely not discounting Pat Mahomes. But let's not discount the other weapons that's around him. Chris Jones, the honey badger. On top of that, let's not discount the tight end. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Because one can argue and say, well, if you put Russell Wilson on the Kansas City Chiefs, maybe, just maybe, just maybe, he can be doing some Patrick Mahomes type of stuff. And on top of that, think about this. If you put Russell Wilson on the Kansas City Chiefs, don't you know that they're not a run-first offense? Don't you know that the Seattle Seahawks are a run-first offense? So we got to look at every angle. And I'm not saying that people should be held accountable or held to a certain standard because of the team they're on, or they should get discount merits or what have you because of the certain coach that they are so happen to be under. But I think that coaching plays a major role. The type of system that you play in plays a major role. And it goes all the way back to the Cowboys. At some point, people got to realize either, and I love my dog, Vaj Lombardi. He put this out there, I think, a couple of months ago. You can't have it both ways, basically. But this is what Vaj was pretty much saying. And if you don't know who Vaj Lombardi is, check out his YouTube page, and you will see his name, his face, his logo, and all this good work. You can't sit here and say Jason Garrett is trash and Dak Prescott is good, or Dak Prescott is trash and Jason Garrett is good. You can't have it both ways. It has to be something, one or the other. Now, I can say this, the historical data and everything that's put in front of me about Jason Garrett. We've seen 8-8 multiple times. Regardless of how we can put it and contextualize it, we've seen it multiple times before Dak Prescott ever thought about playing in the National Football League as it relates to the Dallas Cowboys. We've seen that before. And I don't think that nobody can out-debate facts, right? But there are some people out there who only looked at football since 2016, if you know what I mean, and say, well, all of these problems, all of these warts, all of these troubles, all of these trials and tribulations that we're going through only occurred through 2016 to present day. Like these 40 wins is just by chance, right? that those 40 wins are only due to below 500 teams, or the wins only count because of the offensive line and Ezekiel Elliott, not Dak Prescott. I digress. Nevertheless, the 40 wins, beyond 40 wins, because I think Tom Brady got more than 40 wins, but you guys get what I'm saying. I'm not keeping count of his wins, but I think he got a little bit more than 40 wins. That they're not against the Miami Dolphins twice a year. They're not against the Buffalo Bills twice a year, or the Jets, or what have you. They're only against playoff teams. They're only against Super Bowl caliber teams. And the same talk track and the same, conversational piece is for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, going back to the Seattle Seahawks, that everybody already crowned them, right? They crowned them as Super Bowl favorites, right? Because they got a Jamal Adams. Because they gave up the form for Jamal Adams. Now, just like, put it like this, just like when everybody said that if the Jamal Adams go to the Cowboys, they should be a shoo-in. They should go straight to the Super Bowl. Don't have to play the regular season. Don't have to play the postseason. Go straight to the Super Bowl. Well, couldn't that been said? Couldn't that been said for, dare I say, the Seattle Seahawks for this year, because they got a Jamal Adams, right? They got a dynamic quarterback who's transcending. And if you use those same words, oh, wow, putting everybody in a corner. Couldn't have been said if the Kansas City Chiefs go out there and get a Frank White, right? A Frank Clark, I meant to say. Or when they went out there and got the Honey Badger. It's a collective team that help wins games, playoff games, as well as Super Bowls. And it's the coaching staff with experience that can elevate and see the warts before they become too big and put them out, or see the small fires before they get too engulfed in flames or what have you, to put that stuff out. But everybody look at the Dallas Cowboys and what we going through is that this is the only team. And granted this right here, I will say this. Our front office, our staff does not help at all. I love Jerry Wayne. I love Stephen John Charlotte. And I love Jerry Jr. I love them all. You know, we love what they bring to the table. We love the marketing on for the Dallas Cowboys. But I think they wet the bed with this Dak Prescott situation, because we forever going to talk about it. Forever, ever going to talk about it. So there's people saying that they would rather have a Jamal Adams and an Andy Dalton, and let's get rid of Dak Prescott because he's dead weight. Case in point, I will agree with this type of talk track only if the Cowboys did not feel the way they felt for Dak Prescott. They should have traded him. They should have put a tender on him. Maybe a first and a conditional second or a third, whatever it may be. Get something in return and trade and get all of those valuable assets and then roll out the plan, the craziest plan of it all, right? But they got coy with it. Of course, somebody can say, well, they had the offer on the table for Dak Prescott and his representative denied it. Well, one can argue this right here. If I'm the agent and if I'm Dak Prescott, why haven't you came to me before my contract was over with? You knew what you was getting into when you allowed my contract to expire. And his agent can boldly walk up and say, well, my client never had a losing season. My clients, regardless of how you look at just the stat merits or what have you, comparable to those who are getting paid this amount of money. It will be a different story. It will be a different story. And I do know that we got to trust the tape, and I do know that we can go and talk about antics or what have you. But when you're talking about a quarterback that's transcending like a Russell Wilson, that's dynamic like a Russell Wilson, and you talk about these other first round grade quarterbacks like the Goffs of the worlds and the Wentz, when you start looking at their numbers, and remember, there's no emotions when you just purely look at the numbers. When you look at those things and they're not glaring, separating from yours, then you have no choice but to pay the price And that is what the Cowboys are under. Regardless of how we look at it, the time to pay Dak Prescott was in 2018. Regardless of how we look at it, they allowed 2019 to intervene, and the price goes up. You can't get coy with it, and we're going to continue to talk about this until he signs a long-term deal or he's gone. Now, in case in point, I want people to continue to practice their social distance. I want people to continue to wash their hands and wear their masks when they're out in public. I want people to continue to pray for one another. I want us to find something positive to say to each other and continue to spread those type of messages out through the world. I believe in positivity. I want people to look at both sides of the coin. Always look at it from an objective standpoint. Nobody's right all the time and nobody's wrong all the time. Well, there's a few people wrong all the time, right? But you guys get what I'm saying, right? Now, I will say this. This team, the new era starts tomorrow. Training camp will be here. Mike McCarthy have full reign of the team. And in order for us to get this year out the way, the best cure of all of this stuff is winning. If anybody can disagree with me, let me know. The greatest cure of all of this is winning. And I think if we can just figure out a way to win, all of this stuff can be swept under the rug. All is forgiven. But the craziest of the craziest part of it all is that we thought that when it would cure the situation with Jimmy Johnson when he left or what have you, of course, he left on a winning note. He didn't leave on a bad note as it relates to record, what have you. And we thought that, okay, well, he win. Maybe Jerry would get beyond his ego and maybe we can just move on from there. But it didn't work that way. He left. Jimmy Johnson went to the Miami Dolphins, what have you, for a cup of coffee. And all have not been the same since then. Yes, Barry Switzer did his thing, but that's past. It's in the 90s, right? 25 years ago since the last time we was around that great stuff, right? Or that good stuff. But the core principle was through what? Coaching and developing other players, installing leadership. And I think, and I'm just hear me out, that we got the pedigree, we got all of the resources. We just got to come together and allow McCarthy to install leadership, the right pedigree as it relates to coaching. And I want Cowboys fans to just do me one favor. Stop looking and looking and looking and looking and saying, well, our quarterback is not this and our quarterback is not that. Case in point, other running backs are not Ezekiel Elliott. Other wide receivers in the league are not Amari Cooper. Stop using that as an excuse. Let's support this thing. Let's grow this thing. Let's say to ourselves that just because you got a great quarterback does not mean that you automatically win the Super Bowl. And just because you got a Brad Johnson or a Trent Dilfer or even the early of the days Big Ben Roethlisberger, that you're going to not win the Super Bowl. It takes a collective team. And let me know where I'm lying. It takes a collective team and it takes good coaching. And everybody beating on the same drum. Everybody on the same page with what old folks say, singing from the same hymnal. That's been my time. I really thank you all for tuning in and sharing this content. Hit that share button. Hit that like button. Tell a friend, neighbor, foe where to go when they want to tune in to Cowboy Sports Talk and beyond. My name is Law Nation, LAW Nation. I'm on multiple platforms. Hit me up there. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Let's go, Cowboy Nation. Let's go. Let's go. We out.